Welcome on in to a Wednesday, February 11th of 2026. Lots going on today. Joan, it sounds like that guy got arrested and then they released him, but they kept his phone.
Right. They
interesting.
Detained him. They didn't arrest him. They just detained him, asked him some questions, and then took his phone and sent him packing.
So there has been a lot made overnight of this. Wasn't an arrest. It was detained, and they did some questioning. Kash Patel, of course, head of the FBI, was on Sean Hannity's show last night. Now, one of the things that they're saying in the abduction of Nancy Guthrie is that they are looking at more than one person of interest. FBI Director Kash Patel telling Fox News last night.
We were able to execute lawful searches and go to these private sector companies and expedite results and then go into their systems and actually excavate material that people would think would normally be deleted and no one would look for. And basically, without getting into too many of the details, that's how the FBI worked with our private sector partners to pull out material that people thought didn't even exist because of the specific type of subscription service on the Ring doorbell. But thanks to this brilliant partnership, we were able to get it out, sharpen it with our technical capabilities at the FBI, and put it out to the world.
Yeah, they're talking about the videos of the guy who walked up to Nancy Guthrie's home. I'm sure that you've seen them, Joan. I don't know if you folks have seen it at home.
Creepy stuff.
Very creepy. I mean, guy walks up, and this was, again, yesterday after we got off the air, but it shows a guy walking up onto the porch, had a gun, and other than that, was fully covered, wearing masks and gloves and the whole thing. And one of the things that he did was he tried to cover up the camera with leaves or flowers or something. I guess eventually he ripped the camera from its holder on the doorframe. If you were anywhere near social media, this was, one of the first things that you saw. And again, very creepy. Now, you heard Kash Patel say that the images were the result of obtaining data they thought was gone. So from what I can tell, and Joan, you've been really on top of this case, from what I can tell, they had the cameras, but they didn't have, I guess, the subscription to hold the data or the images.
Yeah.
So they had to go in, and again, as you just heard Kash Patel say, they had to go in with the private sector and I guess just scrape whatever they could out of, I guess, the residual data. They were able to extract it after they thought that it was gone due to the home not having a cloud storage subscription. And so he was actually, what's interesting about all of this is that Kash Patel was asked by Sean Hannity if this information was delayed. Because it's been, 10 days now since this whole thing happened?
Today is day 11. It's insane.
Today is 11.
Yeah.
So TMZ is reporting that the person of interest is not a member of the Guthrie family. They had local SWAT teams, elite hostage rescue teams, bomb squad, and other law enforcement on the case there in Tucson. But it has been. Now we are on day 11. And once this video finally came out, they, I guess, started getting tips. And so I guess the question has to be asked, okay, so because time is of the essence, if this video had been extracted earlier and been released earlier, then would they have been able to find, or could they have already found Nancy Guthrie? So that's, conversation, I suppose, for another day. Apparently a Bitcoin account referenced in the reported ransom letters sent to various news outlets did see some activity on Tuesday, according to the Daily Mail. Apparently, though, it was only for $300 or so. The ransomers have demanded $6 million for Nancy's safe return. Hannity asked if there are other suspects out there. Again, Kash Patel.
I will say we have made substantial progress in these last 36, 48 hours thanks to the technical capabilities of the FBI and our partnerships. And I do believe we are looking at people who, as we say, are persons of interest. But as you know, with any investigation, you are a person of interest until you're either eliminated or you're actually found to be the culprit or the culprit's involved. And that's the stage we're at right now.
So last night, I was watching this around midnight. Last night, outside the home of that person of interest, a woman who apparently lived there just started talking to the media. Her home is about 15 miles north of the border, and she was live on CNN.
Oh, no, they came out telling us that they had somebody gave a tip that the lady was in my house. I don't know her name. ¿Cómo se llama? Nancy Guthrie. That we don't know. We don't know her. I don't know who she is. I don't know anything about her. They only said that they gave a tip that she was in my house. And I told them, you can go in and search my house. There's nobody there. I have nothing to hide. There's nobody in my house. And I don't know what's going on. I mean,
now, one of the things that I thought was interesting during all of this interview, where she said that they did not have a warrant. And the authorities, the FBI, has come out and said this was absolutely a legal search. We did indeed have a warrant, and they went through all of the proper channels.
By the way, that woman is the mother-in-law of the guy who was detained.
Yep.
So it's a multi-generational family house. So a lot of people live under the roof of that house. So
and I guess he's a delivery driver of some sort.
Yeah, he said that, and he said some letters. It didn't it wasn't UPS. It wasn't FedEx. I couldn't understand what he was saying. So I don't know who he works for. But they also asked him, that interview with Matt Finn, asked him, hey, have you been to the Nancy Guthrie house? And he said, I don't know. I could have been. It was 10 days ago. I don't know. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess if you're a delivery, I'm trying to put myself in his position. So if you are a delivery person, and you go to, I don't know if he's a DoorDasher, if he's whatever he is, but you go to a lot of homes, and I cannot imagine. Well, you used to, didn't you, Sam? Used to deliver for Amazon.
I did.
So
did you? Sucked.
Well, I'm sure that it did.
But you would get an area, like at least the way it worked for my particular section, is you'd get an area as a team, and then there'd be routes within that area that you could have 2 or 3 times a week. But you could also just get some random outlier. I mean, every once in a while, someone would get sent to Adairville, Kentucky. Shout out Adairville. But, I may have been to one house 3 or 4 times in 1 week, but after a certain point, you really stop paying attention.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
You're worried about the dogs, you're worried about the traffic, and where the kids cross the roads.
Making sure you get all the packages out, and so forth. So I
make sure you don't get caught filling a Gatorade bottle.
Yeah, and you don't want to, go on somebody's bushes or what have you. Definitely don't want to do that.
Oh yeah, they show us the ring footage from that as a horror story.
Oh, do they really?
Oh yeah, they're like, don't get caught doing this, you will be charged.
So this woman goes on to say that yes, her son. Here's what and again, I have no idea if this guy has anything to do with the abduction. But, one of the things that she said was that her son-in-law at the time, that he was at home with headphones on playing a video game. So it doesn't necessarily sound like somebody who is in the throes of, a ransom demanding abduction.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he and the police apparently had some words.
When they had my son outside the house, they broke in my house without a warrant or nothing. They broke my door. They went inside my house. My son was playing on Nintendo. He had his headphones on. They got him and put him in their cuff and took him outside.
All right, so who knows? She claims that the authorities had no warrant. Media outlets are reporting that there was a warrant. They say unidentified sources involved in the investigation had earlier told the outlets that officers believed the ransom notes that were sent to local news networks and TMZ were, in fact, written by the kidnappers. So now people are, of course, piling on, saying that this video was released way too late. The video of the cameras on the porch.
Well, that's because the local authorities wouldn't work with the FBI.
They were late in asking for outside help.
Yeah.
Is what Kash Patel said, and other people are saying it too. I mean, there have been a lot of investigative issues. We're going to get into that coming up. It is 5:50. Also, what in the world is going on in the skies over El Paso, Texas?
Oh, my gosh. I just read about that, too. What the heck?
So looking at the issues with the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. And Joan, tell me if I've missed any.
Okay.
All right? So the Daily Mail reporting that these detectives, there's a total of 6, are inexperienced in kidnapping cases. So that's number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2. The crime scene was released way too early, and it was left wide open to reporters. So that's another one. Because remember, they had to go back. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah.
They had to go back, and then they found something, I guess it was a camera or something up on the roof. And so that was days after they had, opened up the scene to the family and reporters, I guess. They had to come back, and there was some sort of a camera up on the roof. The crime scene tape had been removed way too soon as well. There was that delayed request for outside assistance. There had also been, and this was a big one, there had been a delayed deployment of search aircraft. Now, we all know that the first 24 hours or so, critical in finding kidnapped victims. So they sent planes up to search an area. Well, the pilot in Tucson, in this area, the pilot had been disciplined and had been reassigned to street patrol.
What?
So nobody could fly the plane. So there was no air coverage. So Nancy Guthrie turns out missing. She doesn't show up for church. They can't find her. They find the blood on the porch. And so one of the first things that you do is you're going to, send up the airplane and try and figure out, what in the world is going on. And nobody was around to fly the plane because the guy that was supposed to fly the plane had been suspended from flying. And they had no backup. They had no personnel to fly. It's the craziest damn thing. Now, you would think that if something like that has been going on and I'm sorry, my voice is going up. So you would think that if somebody has clearly been kidnapped, and the first thing you need to do is get ground and air search coverage, that you say to the pilot of the plane, because it's a special plane, right? Because they've got special equipment to, try to find people. And I don't know what you call it, but, you say to the guy who's been suspended, look, we're going to suspend your suspension from the air. We got a situation. We've got to send you back up. Why would you not do that? So that was also a huge delay. And also, I guess the sheriff was seen at a basketball game over the weekend. And so people lost their ever-loving minds over that as well. So there have been a lot of issues, apparently, with this particular search for Nancy Guthrie. And, they don't have, I'm assuming, a lot of kidnappings in Tucson. I really have no idea. Did I miss anything, though? It sounds like I had plenty there to criticize. Did I miss any of the complaints from people out there? Joan? I'm sorry.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, Joan, how are you?
Good. Nice to rejoin the show. What question?
Did I miss anything as far as the miscues from the investigation?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Have you gotten to the whole Bitcoin thing yet?
Yeah, the $300.
Yeah.
$300 was moved into that Bitcoin account. That's the account where the kidnappers are demanding a $6 million ransom. It sounds to me like that was a test.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, making sure that they had the right account.
Yeah.
Because nothing worse than I've done this, nothing worse than sending money to the wrong person on Venmo.
Well, what they said was, and I was watching this morning, what happens is oftentimes they'll move money to a different account or move money into or out of an account, and then somebody will call you and say, that was a mistake. I'm so sorry. Would you send that money back to me?
Yeah.
And then when you send it back, you're giving them all kinds of information about your account and how to access it. And that's how, thievery happens. But that was what they were thinking is happening there. It's kind of a test.
All right, Joan, in other news.
Yeah. All good.
FAA has now closed the El Paso airspace for 10 days over what they say are security concerns.
So have you been able to dig into this and figure out what the security concerns are?
No. Have you?
I have not.
FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, has issued a temporary flight restriction immediately halting all flights to and from El Paso International Airport in Texas and an area of southern New Mexico for 10 days. Citing special security reasons. A notice by the FAA classifies the airspace as national defense airspace and says pilots who violate the restriction could be intercepted, detained, and questioned by law enforcement. Do we have any military bases out there in El Paso, like in that region?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so that's number one. Number two, don't forget
Pretty sure there has to be.
Don't forget that we also have been going after the drug cartels. So maybe it has something to do with that, the drug cartels in Mexico.
Well, it says that
Fort Bliss is out there.
it doesn't apply to Mexican airspace. And another thing, I've got it from the El Paso Matters.
Mm-hmm.
And they also cite the United States government may use deadly force against the Airborne Act if it is determined the ACFT, if it is determined that the aircraft poses an imminent security threat. So they're reserving the right to shoot it down, whatever gets in the way.
That's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only an 11-mile radius.
So what is in that
pretty
11
specific.
miles?
An earlier notice cited drone activity over El Paso.
Aliens.
So, yeah, that's what it appears to be.
Aliens.
This is from, by the way, the Wall Street Journal.
You know, you're saying aliens. I'm like immediately going to illegal aliens, but I know what you're talking about.
Well,
you're talking about the truth is out there aliens.
So the portion of southern New Mexico that they have blocked off is in the Oregon Mountains Desert Peaks National Monument area, which is where there have been sightings.
Okay, so another FAA notice, this is also from the Wall Street Journal, restricted flights during the same period and for the same reason in an area along the Mexican border near Santa Teresa, New Mexico, roughly 20 miles west of El Paso. The restrictions they apply to commercial cargo and general aviation, telling travelers to contact their airlines for travel information.
You know, the good thing is, of all the cities I never want to go,
It's El Paso.
El Paso,
Yeah.
right up there. El Paso, and no offense to you folks in Little Rock, but there's just a couple of cities I just don't want to go to.
Texas and Arkansas don't get the love.
No, I love Texas. I used to live in Texas, but El Paso's not one of those cities that I would ever want to go to, but whatever. Yeah, this is weird.
Yeah.
This is very weird.
So do you remember when there was so much being made about the drones coming in from the ocean all along the East Coast? And
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
So that really, it turns out that really was drone activity.
Yes.
So perhaps this is of the same nature, but they're not really sure. Fort Bliss is out there. That's a pretty important command center. Take it for what you would like.
Well, I'm looking at all this, and this headline from the Daily Mail: swarm of interstellar objects detected passing within Earth's orbit around the sun. A Harvard scientist has suggested that our solar system may be far more crowded with interstellar objects, chunks of rock or ice from other star systems, than anyone realized. Nothing especially intriguing there.
But there have been several reported UAP sightings or related incidents near these mountains in southern New Mexico over the decades, going back to the 50s.
And is Fort Bliss literally within the 11-mile radius that we're talking about in New Mexico?
It is in El Paso, so I would assume
Then here's what I need to know. Nuclear. Do they do nuclear stuff?
Right. So it's the largest installation in the U.S. Army Forces Command, second largest in the Army overall. Also, Fort Bliss provides the largest contiguous tract of restricted airspace in the continental U.S. used for missile and artillery training and testing.
Sure.
It has, here you go. It has the largest maneuver area ahead of the National Training Center. In August of 25, Immigration and Customs Enforcement opened a detention facility there named Camp East Montana. Could hold 5,000 detainees.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, because remember, we've talked to Tim Burchett about this, where you've got these spacecraft, UAPs, that, they've been basically trolling our nuclear facilities for years and years. So,
Joan, did you point out how big Fort Bliss is?
Yes.
Over 1 million acres?
Oh, I did not say that, but yes, it is
it's huge.
The largest installation in the U.S. Army Forces Command.
So it stretches into southern. So it basically accompanies both of these areas.
Really interesting. All right. Well, we'll have to see what happens with this. I mean, this definitely piques my interest. Most interesting story of the day thus far. So, good morning to you, friends, and welcome on into Nashville's Morning News. So, more on the El Paso airspace closure, Joan. I don't know if you've seen this, but a couple of people have sent me notes on the super text line. I'm seeing some discussions on social media that apparently they are engaged in some sort of a GPS jamming exercise.
Yes.
But it's coming from sources that I don't know that I necessarily trust.
Yeah.
But why would they? But here would be my question. It seems awfully dramatic to not warn anyone, including the military. And if you were going to do this, why wouldn't you give some sort of a warning as opposed to just suddenly announcing that you were closing the airspace there in El Paso for 10 days? No explanation given. It just seems like if that's what they're doing, and I don't know if they are, but if that's what they're doing, why wouldn't they execute this better? I mean, if that's what they're doing. And I don't know if that's the case, but...
Well, I mean, I think that the point is to keep it under wraps. You know, execute it better. Well, I think that they're doing exactly what they intended to do.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't...
we don't know what's going on.
We don't have to know everything they're doing to keep the U.S. safe.
Joan.
What?
Social media must know. They have to announce everything.
Yes.
So that we have content in the 5 o'clock hour. It is really important.
So I've asked, because I worked in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
I wondered a great deal about how safe it is to be there because it's the target of everything in the world, every bad actor in the world.
Yeah.
And so my brother, who's in the military and has some knowledge because he's done many things in the military, he said you would not even want to know the things that are being done to keep Washington, D.C. safe.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you talk to, some of the, I've spoken to Congress people who have told me the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't even want to know what we're looking at or what we're looking for. So, no, I totally get it. And you know what?
So the point is that we may not always know what's being done, but it's being done in an effort to keep us safe. And I just feel like, all right, do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do. And if this is some, oh, by the way, just going back, and we're all over the place, but real quick, I'm gonna get into coming up. Howard Lutnick.
Oh yeah.
Did you see this testimony yesterday? I
actually played. It came after you left yesterday morning, and I actually played that portion of his testimony on the air. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So, Nancy Guthrie's husband. Somebody sent me a note on the super text line. Sam, you may know more about this than I do, but there's some sort of internet chatter about how Nancy Guthrie's husband was a scrubber for the Clintons.
Not Nancy Guthrie. Savannah Guthrie's husband.
Savannah Guthrie's husband.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're asking. So they're asking me if the kidnapping could be part of that, and I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah, he was an operative for a while for the Obamas.
For the Obamas or Clintons?
I'm sorry, the Clintons.
Okay.
Yeah, he worked for the Clinton Gore administration.
Interesting.
And then founded Glover Park Group in 2001, a public affairs and lobbying firm that has represented various clients, including some political figures. And he later became co-chair of FGS Global's North America chapter.
Glover Park, by the way, is an area of Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Right near the National Cathedral.
And it's my contention that if they were trying to do something or hide something, they were just, the Clintons, they just kill people. I mean, I'm not saying I should. The suspicion
you won't be sued for that at all.
The suspicion is, the accusation is that people get Clintoned, and I'm air quoting, people get Clintoned, and so
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. And so I have no idea that part of it. I mean,
Allegedly.
There are accusations all over the place that happen on the internet, which is why I'm always loath to repeat some of the stuff that I see, because oftentimes it's not the case. I've been hit with so many, Mandis, why don't you talk about what's really going on, right? And then they start sending me all of these links from places that never heard of them, some person that I don't know who they are, and I can't read everything that people send to me because I would be sued. So I don't know about this thing with Savannah Guthrie's father, was it? Is that who it is?
Husband.
Savannah Guthrie's husband. Okay. So anyway, when we covered a lot of that in the earlier part of the program. So let's move on to Epstein. The thing that I love about Epstein is that you had the Democrats and they were just, trying to pin their hopes and dreams on Donald Trump being mentioned in the Epstein files. Obviously, as far as I can tell, the only real credible mention of Donald Trump being in the Epstein files is being one of the first ones to go to the cops related to Epstein. Really glad that you're doing this. Really glad that you're coming after and investigating Epstein because, he's a creeper and he's doing creepy things. Now, the closest they've been able to get to Donald Trump is Howard Lutnick. Now, yesterday we took a Daily Dan poll. The Daily Dan poll was, should Howard Lutnick be fired or forced to resign? Because he has been saying, and I played you the audio, I don't want to play it again right now, but he has been on the record as saying, I didn't have anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein after 2005. And that was when, the year that we found out that Epstein was doing all of this, nasty stuff with, little girls. And so 2005, supposedly, Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary said, nope, that was the year that I stopped hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, here comes 3 million, additional Epstein files, and there's a bunch of correspondence between Howard Lutnick's people and Jeffrey Epstein's people, and it shows that they were indeed, hanging out together and doing all kinds of stuff, apparently. And so now people are going to Howard Lutnick and saying, dude, what's the deal? You've been lying all this time. And so this was yesterday where Howard Lutnick was grilled about this discrepancy.
But it troubles me that you took your family to lunch on his island, that you had appointments with him. Please disclose everything. Put this to rest, because this is an issue of grave concern to my constituents. President Trump ran on releasing the Epstein files. You said casually, well, I looked at my name and how it appeared in them, as does everyone. No, everyone isn't worried about their names being in the Epstein files. I know he was your neighbor. That was a coincidence. But please disclose everything that's relevant here so that we have a chance to work together and move on.
To the best of my memory, I met him when he moved next door to me, and I met him 2 other times in 14 years, none within 6 years of that first meeting, and then a year and a half later, and none thereafter. And in the presence of my wife, and as Senator Van Hollen said, under no circumstances is there a single word that I've done anything remotely wrong in any possible regard. I did not have anything you could call a relationship, anything you could call an acquaintance. I literally met him 3 times over 14 years with widespread in between. That's all I can remember. That's all there is in the documents. I didn't look through the documents with any fear whatsoever, because I know, and my wife knows, that I have done absolutely nothing wrong in any possible regard.
So that is Howard Lutnick, and he swears up and down, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. By the way, I did mention that we took the Daily Dan poll, should Howard Lutnick resign or should he be fired? And I think it was, Sam, didn't you say it was pretty much split right down the middle? 50% said...
no, because we had 3 answers.
We only had 3 answers.
Well, we had fire, resign, or neither.
Oh, and what did people say?
It was 48% resign, 30-something% fire, the other remaining smaller percentage, nothing. Wait for more information, I think.
Yeah, and here's the deal. There is I'm assuming there's going to be a lot more information to come. He was also, by the way, Howard Lutnick. It was not a good day for Howard Lutnick yesterday because of the fact that he is going through all of this questioning, and it does come down to credibility. And I'm not going to throw stones at Howard Lutnick. He says that he didn't do anything wrong. Certainly, there's nothing to say, nothing in the files so far that I've seen or that anyone has seen that accuses Howard Lutnick of doing anything wrong with little girls. There's nothing there. It's all about a credibility issue where he said that he stopped having a relationship after 2005. Here's a little bit more.
Questions I have before we close. One is just to follow up on one of your responses with respect to the Epstein files, specifically the visit you and your family took to Epstein's private island in 2012, and I think you also said you went on his yacht. Is that right? Or boat? No.
No.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
At that time, I think you mentioned that you were accompanied by your wife and kids and nannies. My question is, do you know whether the nanny that you had on that trip was the same nanny that Jeffrey Epstein expressed interest in meeting?
No, I have no idea about that whole thing. I mean, I don't recall it having anything to do with me, and I don't know that.
It's just, this guy was a convicted sex offender and obviously not a great place for kids and nannies. Was Ghislaine Maxwell on the island at that time?
No.
So that is part of Howard Lutnick's day yesterday, and this is going to be something where President Trump, he's going to have to talk to Howard Lutnick, and there's some people that are saying that he absolutely should be fired or should resign for the good of the administration. Other people saying that we should find out more information. I will have more information on this as the morning continues to unfold. The Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. We do have a couple of breaking stories this morning. A person detained for questioning in the Guthrie case has now been released. We talked about that quite a bit earlier this hour. And also we have the ongoing saga of the airspace being closed in El Paso, Texas. And so... and that's a lot of mystery as to why exactly that has happened. So we've got those two stories and a whole lot more straight ahead. It is Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up, a revolting story. I mean, an absolutely revolting story out of Louisville, Kentucky. And a soft-on-crime judge who, and I have said it before and I will say it again, these soft-on-crime judges, they put the American people at risk. And I've got another example